Good morning, everybody. Yesterday, I referred to the last two writings that we know of that the Alter Rebbe left just before he passed away. And today, being his Yortzeit, I wanted to just talk a little bit about those and what do they really address. Well, one of them is the 20th chapter in the 4th section of Tanya. The other one is a short letter called Nefesh HaShvela. And I heard an interesting talk about these two pieces. I want to share with you some thoughts about it. Basically, what is referred to is there's a Midrash which says that when God wanted to create the world, he had a choice between choosing the attribute of truth, which he created, or the attribute of kindness, which he created. If he created the world through truth, it would have to be in a very high standard and a high level, and nothing could be in any sense a compromise on that truth. If he created the world with kindness, it would be just the kind of world that we have today. And of course, we know that the decision that God made was to create the world through kindness, even though that meant that truth would not be a dominant force in the world that we live in. And the fact is that we have much deception. There is robbery, there is crime, there is sin, there is all types of things which compromise truth and even do their best in order to be able to hide the truth. But nevertheless, God decided that kindness was the attribute that God wanted, because kindness had a particular attribute which God felt was tremendously valuable in his creation. God created light and darkness, and created good and evil, created good people and bad people, created all types of situations and conflict. If everything was on a level of truth, then what challenge would there be? What accomplishment would we have as far as being able to transform a negative aspect of the world into a positive, to take darkness and turn it into light, to transform something that's within our own being to be able to turn it into something positive and godly and holy. So God knew that with the creation of the world through this kindness, there would even be kindness that was not true, a kindness that was done for ulterior motives, a kindness that was done for the purpose of having honor, a kindness that was done really for the purpose of eventually stabbing somebody in the back. So kindness itself was compromised. But this, in fact, the Alter Rebbe explains partly in these two writings that he had at the end of his life. This, in fact, is part of what God wants. That the bottom line is the deed itself, the kind deed itself, is able to accomplish tremendous amount of transformation in this world. When we use out this physical world, this garden, as the previous Rebbe refers to it, based on the Midrash, Gan Eden, that we're able to really transform this world into the type of place that God wants it eventually to be. And it's that process of transformation, of taking the negative and turning it into a positive, that God wanted to give us, his human beings, as Jews, the opportunity to be able to accomplish. Nothing compares to the amount of nachas, the amount of enjoyment that gives God above, the reich nichoach that God enjoys when seeing a person able to take that urge to do something negative, that thought to do something that's deceiving, and be able to transform it into something that's going to have kedusha and holiness and be a positive, specifically physical act. Because in the physical act, we're able to have the most effect on our environment and transform it into a place of positivity and kedusha. So that's the message the Alter Rebbe gives just at the end of his life, which means that this is after all of his wisdom and all of his knowledge. He was able to transmit this. In fact, I just want to share with you one last story concerning the Alter Rebbe. That when he was sitting around a table with many of his peers who were themselves great, giants, Berditchever and others who were giants in their own right, who ended up starting Hasidic movements themselves, and they had a discussion as to if I were God, what would I change? So one rabbi said I would change in terms of all the suffering that people have. Another one said I would change as far as it being easier for people to make a living, and other suggestions that each of the rabbis made. But the Alter Rebbe, when it got to his point, his turn, he said, I will not change anything. God has a reason why he did everything the way he did and why there is so much of the negativity here, so that we have the opportunity to transform it into something good. So I hope today you'll be inspired to go out and take some negativity in your life or in those lives around you or in the world around you and transform it into something good. Have a great day.